Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to MATLAB Tech. In today's video, we are going to be looking at MATLAB instead of the usual mathematics that we've been looking at. We look at how the MATLAB window is, how to get our way around over there, and then we'll look at setting up script files and how to display output for the user. Alright, let's open up MATLAB. It's assumed that you already know what MATLAB is and you already know how to install it. Right here, I just went to open my own. Wait for it to load up. Now, when you open up the MATLAB, the window looks exactly like this. The command window, which is where you would input your commands, your code for the MATLAB to run. Basically, command window is right here in the middle. Your workspace is here, which displays some variables when you create them. We'll look at that later. Your current folder, the current directory that you are in, let's say you can think of it as the workspace that you are given the MATLAB window to use, place to store all the files and everything. This is the workspace right here. Then there is a detail side over here which gives information about the files that you have selected in the workspace. Look at that later. Now, the command window would most likely be the side of the MATLAB window that you'd actually use most often. You type your code here and everything over here. Just to make sure that everything is working, you can type, let's say 3 plus 2 over here, something to just calculate. MATLAB should give you the answer as 5. Just try again, you can type something like 0 times, and times in MATLAB is the star, so 0 times something like 4. You should get 0 at the end. MATLAB can work as a calculator too, yes. Now, to clear the terminal window, you use the command clc. Basically, it clears everything over here and removes the code that you have already written over here, the commands that you have already issued. So if I write clc and I hit enter, it should clear everything over there. If I type a lot of things like this, even if I get errors at the end, I can end up clearing the command window by just typing in clc and hitting the enter button. Now let's look at how to create script files. A script file is basically a file that you input all your source code at once. Realize that over here we had to do 4 plus 5, and it will display the answer just after we press enter. You would enter something different again, 9, maybe times 7, display the answer just after we press the enter. Instead of displaying everything one by one like this, entering it and displaying it at the same time, would sometimes want to write the code down to perform one full action. And for that, we use script files. Basically, it's a file that stores the source code of the MATLAB, keeps all the code over there, and then when you run the file, it runs everything at once. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and type in clc to clear the command window over here. Now, to create the script file, you have to go up onto this ribbon up here, go to the first side over here, which is the new script. It allows you to create a blank script. Click on that. Immediately you see that the command window has been shifted down and the script has been inserted over here into the editor. As of now, it's untitled. As you can see over here, it's untitled, nothing is written inside. So let's go ahead and save up our script file. You can go ahead and press the Ctrl S on your keyboard, or you can just go up here to this save button over here. If you click the save, it would let you choose a location where it would save the file. I'm going to go right ahead and save my one on the desktop. I'm going to call it text. Test. And automatically MATLAB would give the file extension .m. That's the MATLAB extension. Alright, I've now saved the file on the desktop. Now, instead of doing all those things that we have done in the command window, we can do them all at once and then before displaying the answer. So first we can write the 3 plus 5 that we have Then on the next line, you just hit enter to go to the next line. Then on the next line, you can have your maybe 4 times 4, whatever you would like, and maybe 6 minus 4, all of that. Don't worry about the spaces I'm putting over here, they are not all that necessary, but just to make the code clean, you can put a space between your number and then your operation right here. Now to run this MATLAB file, all you need to do is to go up and click on this play button over here. It's written under it, run. Just click it, and immediately it asks you to change the current folder, the place that I talked about earlier, as being the place that you store your files and what you are working on, an environment for the MATLAB to work in. It asks you to change this path. Since I've created the script file and I've stored it on the desktop, so I have to change that place to the desktop before I'll be able to run it. So just go ahead and click change folder. It will change the folder to the desktop, and as you can see right here, it has changed the folder. If you would also observe, the code that we have written in the editor has now been executed in the command window. So the first one gave the answer 8, the second one gave the answer 16, the third one 2. 3 plus 5 gives you 8, 4 plus 4, 4 times 4 gives you 16, and 6 minus 4 gives you 2. Yeah, the code is executed in the sequential order from 3 plus 5, 4 plus 5, 6 minus 4. So you could just input everything in the command window, in the script file, then you run it, and then the result will be displayed in the command window. Now let's go back to our editor, our script file over here. Sometimes you wouldn't want MATLAB to display certain results on the screen. So as such, you would add a semicolon to the end. Essentially, what this does is to just suppress that code for the meantime, shouldn't display it. To just do the calculation but not display it. We would look at how useful this would be in subsequent videos when you are working with variables that you need to assign values to at different stages and have different values. You wouldn't want those values to be displayed on the screen. So you'd maybe do your calculations and then rather display the final answer onto your screen. Now, usually to make your code a little bit nicer during the execution time, you can input a few lines of code before the actual main code. That code would be something like TLC, just to clear the command window before you start. You could add close all, which is supposed to basically close all files that are already open, all MATLAB files that have already been opened. You can also use clear all to clear the memory of any variable that's there before you actually go ahead and issue your commands, like something like 6 plus 6, which wouldn't be displayed anyway because I'm using a semicolon at the end. But you get a point. So let me remove the semicolon and then run this so that the terminal is cleared, the command window is cleared before the answer is displayed. If I run it again, the command window is cleared again and the answer is displayed right here. Now, instead of letting MATLAB display your answer for you just after inputting the code or after running this, you could store this result in a certain variable. Variables are essentially labels given to memory locations where a certain data item would be stored over there. And anytime I refer to that name, I'm basically referring to that data. What I mean is that if I create a variable, let's say I call this variable result, and I equate that variable to this expression over here, 6 plus 6. This expression would be evaluated. The 6 will be added to the 6, and the result of that, which is 12 obviously, would be stored in the variable over here named result. So anytime I refer to result, I'm referring to 12. We might look more into variables when we start writing serious codes that we'll actually use. This is just to get started with MATLAB. Now, with our variable over here, we could display this variable, and to display something to the user, you would use the function disp short for display. Essentially, what this function does is to take an input and then it displays that input as an output for the user in the command window. Functions work just like the normal functions in math. They take an input and produce an output. They work on it and then produce an output. What this one does is to take the input and then displays it on the screen for the user inside the command window. Right here, you're going to write the display. You bring your bracket. Since it's a function, you put your inputs in the bracket. So I want it to display result. So I display and I put the result variable, which I said if anytime I call result, I'm actually referring to the result of 6 plus 6 because that's what I assigned to it. So I'll write my display function and I'll give it an input as result. And I'm expecting this to display that result on the screen for me. Now, if you realize I placed the semicolon over here, which would mean that if this line wasn't here and I ran this file, I wouldn't expect any result because I didn't print out anything for the user to see. I suppressed the code with a semicolon at the end. So now if I bring back this line right here and I run it, I expect MATLAB to display the result for me with the display function. You can see right here in the command window that 12 has been displayed over here. Yeah, that's one way of displaying something on the screen for the user. Another way is to use the function f print f. Start with an f and ends with an f, and there's a print in the middle. Now this function works a little bit different from that of the display. It has to have what we call a string first. Then you would actually try and format the string and then put the result somewhere around here. We'll look more into this in subsequent videos, but for now you can just do what I'm doing right now. Put a %d over here and then you write it this way. Essentially what this thing does is that it puts the value of results in this string. A string is basically a string of characters, referring to a string of characters, a sentence or a word or something. Characters as in the letters that we have. To a string of characters, it's usually placed in the quotation mark. In MATLAB, you use the single quotation mark. Now, if I run this, it displays 12 over here. We'll look more into that, how to actually display a lot of things using the fprintf function. But for now, your best friend would be the display function, the disp function, short for display, and then you just put your result here. You run it, and you expect an output. That's it for this YouTube video. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for paying attention and being with us till the end. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like behind. Subscribe if you are new around here, and I'll see you guys in the next one.